My son tells the truth, like it is a dare. Your wife's work husband is the future, he announced at Thanksgiving, fork held like a flag. Mason, Lena's boss, smirked over his wine. I said nothing. I handed out envelopes to everyone like it was a party game. Mason slid a finger under the flap, still smiling. When he read, the color left his face. This is a board termination notice. Signed by... He stopped. His eyes came up at me. It is a calendar hold and a courtesy email to your board regarding culture concerns, I said. Not a notice, but words are sticky when you smear them in public. Lena dropped her napkin. Derek, her work husband, did a neutral face like a consultant mannequin. The turkey steamed between us like cover fog off Gray Harbor. I felt the whole town breathing through our windows. That is how Gray Harbor works. Gossip slips through the frames like a draft. The water tower may hold rust, but it holds names too. I lifted my phone, thumbed the lock screen camera, and took a single photo through the dining room glass. The lens caught Lena's hand on Derek's wrist under the tablecloth. It could have been friendly. It looked practiced. Game over? Mason said, weak smile. Game on, I said. I stepped out on the deck to breathe cold salt that nicked the back of my throat. The marina lights blinked red like patient warnings. Inside, chair legs scraped, whispers rose. My son asked if he could have pie. I told him yes. You keep routine steady when the boat tips. My phone hummed. The photo looked harmless unless you lived in this house. My reflection sat in the glass over the picture like a ghost at my own table. I went back in, boxed dessert to go for everyone, and saw them off. Mason avoided my eyes. Derek shook my hand with 2 fingers. Lena kissed my cheek like a press release. When the door closed, the house went very quiet, and so did I. While you're here, hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below. Have you ever faced something like this? The Wheelhouse Bar has a chalkboard that changes with the tide. The bartender writes jokes that sound like bad weather reports. He saw me and slid over a coffee. Thursday pitch nights, he said, like I had asked. She is here with the tall one. They tip 20 when the guitar guy plays Springsteen. He shrugged. Town watches. You know how it is. I know how it is. In Gray Harbor, even the fog takes notes. The HOA email came that afternoon, subject line in all caps. Noise complaint, midnight door slam, a planter broken on the shared stoop. The sender attached a blurry phone photo of silhouettes. The silhouettes did not kiss. They almost did. On the firm website, I found rooftop party photos with sponsor banners. Lena's scarf on the back of Derek's chair, the same chevron weave I bought her last winter when we were still buying each other things that meant things. The timestamp was right after a client dinner. Paige, the events manager, had tagged everyone like a proud camp counselor. The family email still receives rideshare marketing. I never shut it off because I do not shut things off. Subject lines stacked like receipts. Your Tuesday trip, waterfront to Riverside. Your Thursday trip, Alder and Pike to Lena's complex. The thumbnails were enough. I did not need to open anything. At the marina, the mechanic told me a guy with perfect hair had a loaner SUV after a scrape near the boat ramp. He said the ramp paint jumped at him, the mechanic said. Paint is famous for that. I walked the Riverwalk at dusk and watched Derek through the glass of a restaurant as he pretended to listen to a junior associate. He checked his teeth in the knife. When he left, I followed. The pavement was slick. Holiday lights buzzed like insects. He noticed me somewhere past the bait shop. He cut left. I cut left. He sped up. I sped up. He glanced back and lost a step, shoes skidding. For a second, his heel slipped over the rail line that guards the river. I reached him and shouldered him away from the water hard enough to make a point, but not a headline. Careful, I said. Boards rot. He bristled. Do I know you? You will, I said. Soon. People had stopped to look. He adjusted his jacket and kept walking like I was wind. Wind can still move you if you pretend it does not. Back at the wheelhouse, I took a booth. The cushion held a forgotten events tote with Alder and Pike stamped on the side. Inside were cables, a badge lanyard, and a printed run of show with a schedule block labeled Decompress with Derek and Lena. Paige's initials marked the margin in gel pen hearts. I put the tote on the bar. The bartender said it had been there all night. He slid it behind the counter and gave me another coffee on the house. In this town, the house knows your tab. The abandoned spool works sits like a hollow lung by the river. Rust ladders, broken windows, a catwalk web over the main floor, where once there were machines. I met Paige there at noon when the sun made a cold cathedral out of the space. She wore a parka with fake fur and stress in the eyes. "I am not doing this because I like you," she said. "I am doing this because I am tired of being a sidecar." "Noted," I said. She told me Mason cultivated the work-husband thing on purpose. He joked about pair bonding for synergy, and then measured results. Lena was his favorite because she could make a brand purr on command. The plan, Paige said, was simple. Lena would leave and start a boutique with a client or two, siphoning the warmest leads. Then Mason would act surprised and tell the board that wild talent cannot be caged. "Where are you in this?" I said. "In the trunk," she said. She promised me equity and then stopped answering my texts unless it was to move chairs. She had receipts that were not crime, just character. Rooftop clips where Mason, a drink too deep, told a pair of VPs that romance improved retention. Ha. Not joking. Calendar exports showing Lena and Derek moving in lockstep after every big pitch. All of it taken with her own phone or printed from her own laptop. She said she made copies when she saw her name vanish from the equity notes. Boots clanged on metal. Lena stepped from the stairwell with Derek behind her, jaw set. Paige texted them both, she said later, because she wanted a show. In Gray Harbor, even betrayals need an audience. "Really?" Lena said to me. "This place?" "I like the Echo," I said. "It fits the brand." We stood on the catwalk, 4 points on a bad compass. The air tasted like pennies. Derek glared at me. I could smell the bar soap he uses to pretend sweat is perfume. "This is harassment," Derek said. "This is choreography," I said. Lena looked at Paige. "You are done," she said. Paige smiled like a broken zipper. "You already did that to me." Words got hot. Metal rang under our feet. I moved faster than Derek expected and had him by the lapels against the rail in a position that looked worse than it was. I did not hit him. I did not need to. Fear does half the work. "Say it," I said. "For the camera, own what you did and what you planned." He shook his head until I tightened my grip and clanged him once against the rail so he would understand we were out of rehearsal. He said it then, a wet whisper. He said the affair and the meetings and the plan to jump with clients because Mason had modeled it like it was lean management. "Again," I said, and held my phone. He said it clean the second time. The phone skittered once across the catwalk when his elbow flailed, and for a second the world tilted with it. Then I had it back. Sirens rose somewhere beyond the mill, a fire across town by the sound, the way the echo chased itself. Everyone stiffened. Paige leaned in close enough that I felt her breath. "Mason has enemies on his board," she said. "All they need is a push." I smiled in a way I never had before. It felt like a glove that fit better than it should. You topple a man like Mason by letting him jump to a platform that turns out to be a drop. I RSVP'd to the Alder and Pike rooftop showcase on a public page with a client-facing pitch. Then I sent screenshots to board addresses I found in state filings. Subject line, "Celebrating our culture. No lies. Videos tell their own truth." I set up a chowder night at the boat ramp with a food truck guy who owes the bartender a favor. "Free bowls," suggested donation. A marina mechanic brought a tank of propane and a grin. People came for soup and stayed for stories. The town loves events that feel like the town threw them. Paige prepared her ghost drop, At 9:15, during Mason's remarks, her clips would go to a client scheduler and to a local business group on Facebook where everyone pretends to be polite until they are not. The HOA thread pinged like a woodpecker. Someone posted about a late-night argument at Lena's building with a broken planter. Someone else posted about Derek's car using an illegal underglow kit. The moderator asked for kindness. Kindness is a fine word for a brick wrapped in a towel. We went up on the roof just before the wind got rude. Sponsor signs snapped on their cords. The view of the river looked like money and salt. Mason took the mic and told a story about grit. I took the little access panel by the catering door and popped it open with a butter knife I borrowed. It men know where buildings hide their nerves. The sound cut in a thump. The screens blinked and then played. Not edited. Just a man at a party saying what he should have only thought, and a schedule that read like a diary when you knew what to read for. Murmurs turned into a press of bodies. Phones rose like periscopes. A sponsor smoothed his tie and left with his handler like a boat leaving a dock. Derek tried to grab the remotes from a tech. I stepped into him chest to chest and shook my head once. Security glanced at Mason, who stared at his shoes. Lena stood very straight and very still and looked at me like she wished lasers were real. "You did this?" she said when she reached me. "You did this," I said. "You will have nothing when I go," she said. "You are burning your own house." "That is the point," I said. Below us, the town ate chowder, and the business group online ate each other. Above us, the board members stared holes through the air where Mason had been standing a minute ago. Wind worked at the screens like a patient animal. I felt the building tremble with the small weight of consequences finally arriving where they belonged. Rain wants to win. By the time Derek realized the night was a net closing, he bolted. I followed down fire stairs that stank like wet paint, boots banging steps. Out on the street, he ran for the pier, head ducked, hand to his ear like he was trying to hold in a plan. I cut corners and kept him in sight. At the municipal ramp, his real car crouched like something he fed by hand. The underglow kit made illegal prettiness on the wet concrete. He fumbled keys and cursed. I closed the distance at a jog. "Stop," I said. "We are not done." "Get away from me," he said. His voice broke sideways. We moved in a circle by the waterline, shoes slipping, breath making smoke in the rain. I stepped, he stepped, and then I shoved him hard enough to sit him down on the cold ramp where the water slicks the concrete to ice. He did not hit his head. He did not drown. He was wet and scared and small. I hauled him up by the jacket and pulled his phone from his hand with a twist he could not fight. I put it on speaker and hit Lena. She answered on the second ring, voice flat. "Say it," I told him. He said it. He said it all, like he had on the catwalk. But now with rain and fear and the sound of the tow truck I had already called rolling up the road. The marina mechanic had told me what to say. Unsafe modifications, red curb by a ramp, municipal code 12-08. He was delighted to repeat it twice when the dispatcher asked him to clarify. "Please," Derek said, eyes wide and wrong, "do not do this." "Look around," I said. There were people under the shelter, paper bowls of chowder in their hands, watching like the Weather Channel. This is a town. Towns remember. They forget too, but not this month. Maybe not this year. The tow truck operator did not care about romance. He cared about rules and the way a paycheck lands. He lifted the car with a hydraulic whine that sounded like a ship's animal groaning. Derek made a noise. I did not. Lena arrived in a coat that hated the rain. She stopped short when she saw the car in the cradle of the truck and Derek dripping like laundry. She looked at me with murder that would never happen. Not because she is good, but because she knows better than to turn a problem into a headline. "You turned into a monster," she said. "Monsters pay attention," I said. Police sirens swept the main road and went past toward the fire we heard earlier. The town kept watching. I took Derek's key fob, warm from his pocket, and flicked it into the black water with a small arc that felt bigger than it looked. The tow truck rolled. The car rose. The Facebook group pulsed. The board called Mason, who vanished from the roof like a stage trick. Paige posted under her own name finally and wrote that she was tired. Sponsors made calendar changes in real time, polite language like frost. I stood in the rain and felt the villain glove fit, snug around a hand I had always pretended was gentle. I did not feel better. I felt finished. Lena stepped closer, water striping her hair against her cheek. "What now?" she said, quiet. "Now nothing," I said. "Go home. Tell him to find a ride. Pack a bag if you need to, or do not. I am not your plan anymore." "You will be alone," she said. "So will you," I said. "But you will hear me every time a boardroom gets quiet and someone says culture like it is a lifeboat." The town exhaled. The gulls settled. The tow truck's taillights turned the rain into a red curtain and then vanished. I walked to the edge of the ramp and looked down where the fob had vanished. The surface was black glass with small teeth. Somewhere under that, the remote blinked its last light. I thought about Thanksgiving and envelopes, and the way a simple calendar hold can shake a man who thinks he is the building he stands on. Behind me, Derek coughed water and humiliation, and Lena stood like a statue that wanted to flinch, but would not in front of witnesses. A harbor master in a rain shell paused near us, took in the underglow and the red curb, and shook his head. "Civil tow, not criminal," he said. "You can pick it up tomorrow if the paperwork clears." He looked at me, then at Lena, then at Derek. "You folks want to keep this on the ground level," he said. "Weather's ugly enough." "We are ground level," I said. Derek wiped his face with the back of his hand. "Evan, please," he said, voice smaller. "I will stay away. I will quit if I have to. I will write whatever statement you want." "You will write the truth," I said. "Not for me, for the record you pretend not to see." Lena pushed wet hair off her forehead and tried one more time. "We can talk like adults," she said. "Not here, not like this." "This is exactly how adults talk when there are stakes," I said. "You taught me that without meaning to." The tow operator tightened a strap. "You got illegal lights, and you are on a red curb by a ramp," he said to Derek matter of fact. "Nobody is immune to gravity or municipal code. Sign here." Derek signed like a man signing away a version of himself. He looked at me. "Do you want an apology now?" he said. "Do you want me on my knees?" "No," I said. "I want you to remember the sound of that winch anytime you call what you did chemistry." He swallowed and nodded. Rainwater dripped off his chin in a steady metronome. I turned, nodded at the mechanic, thanked the tow operator, and started up the steps. Someone under the shelter said, "Guess the tide changed," in a voice that was almost kind. "Guess so," I said. Two teenagers in hoodies filmed a last shot and argued about captions. The bartender from the wheelhouse handed me a to-go coffee through the rain and said I looked like I needed it. He did not smile, and neither did I. The harbor lifted and fell, and all of Gray Harbor lifted and fell with it, the way small towns bob when somebody finally stops pretending they are not in the water. I kept walking, no epilogue in me, no new beginning speech, just wet boards and cold air and the buzz of phones recording what they had already decided they saw. My phone buzzed too. A client scheduler forwarded me a polite email from Mason full of brave words that meant vacancy. Paige texted a single lighthouse emoji and nothing else. I did not answer either. The wind lashed the flag on the pier until it snapped flat like a warning. Sirens faded into wet distance. The town would sleep badly and then wake up hungry for new angles. They always do. Rain ticked on the rail like coins nobody kept. Oh, the winch whined one last time like a line pulling tight.